Hi everyone, and welcome to Fearless Backgammon, Match 1, Game 7. As you recall, in the last game, White, me, took the Crawford game, and I'm now leading 6-4 Crawford. And this is a special score, right? Whenever you're at Crawford and your opponent is on an even number, so in this case 6-4, then basically you can play without worrying about gammons, okay, in the Crawford game. If your opponent is at an odd score, then you definitely don't want gammons, right? If your opponent is losing 6-1 or 6-3 or 6-5, right? You don't want gammons. But at an even number, gammons don't matter. Okay, so at 6-4, if my opponent wins a gammon, then we're at 6-6. We play double match point. But if he wins 1 point, he goes to 6-5 and automatically doubles. And I can either pass, right, and start a new game, doesn't really matter, immediately, or depending on if I get the first roll, it's a decent one, then I'll take, right? So there's no real worry about gammons at this score. And so that's one of the features and one of the things we'll focus on in terms of the checker play in this game, right, is to what extent the players realize that gammons are not so important, especially the leader, White. And there are some mistakes in this regard. Okay, so you don't worry about gammon, so you can play a little more riskily. You don't have to worry so much about, you know, maintaining a strong anchor, defensive anchor, so you don't get gammon. It doesn't matter, right? And so this kind of connects with the fear factor a little as well, right? You're not afraid of gammon, so you can play. It's one of those scores where you can play pretty much without fear. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, enjoy, and please leave some comments or suggestions, and subscribe if you can, and like if you can, and I hope it's interesting for you, and we'll see if this is the end of the match, or do we go to DMP, double match point. Okay, enjoy. Okay, here we are, Crawford game, 6-4. And black rolls a 5-2 and splits. White splits with a 2-1. And black incorrectly hits in his home board and makes a point in his home board. It's not a huge mistake, but generally when you have this choice, you're hitting in the outfield, right? The main reason is because of the race. It puts you farther ahead in the race. It also gives you some outfield control, right? And in any case, running is, you know, getting those back checkers around is one of your key tasks in a backgammon game. So it's good to hit and run part of the way at least. So yeah, for the sake of the race. Okay, there might be some situations when you are going for a gammon where it's better to hit and make the point and perhaps win more gammons, but here we're not in that situation at 6-4 Crawford. Okay. White responds with a double 5, very nice number, and makes the 3-point on black's head. Black comes in, and again, not really a big mistake, but he jumps out to the 15-point instead of the bar point. And this is related to the race, right? Black is behind in the race, so you generally don't make kind of a racing move. Contact is perhaps better in this situation because black is behind in the race. Even though it seems like there are a lot of shots for white if black plays to the bar. Okay, but it's still early in the game. White's home board isn't very threatening, so it makes a lot of sense to do this, and maybe, you know, better chance of establishing an advanced anchor. Yeah. Okay. The ironic thing is this is a roll that hits black, and if black had played to the bar point, then there wouldn't have been as good a hit, right? White would have had to hit loose on the 4 point or something like that. Okay, so hit and put a spare checker on the 8 point. And black correctly comes in and hits with 6-5. There's not much for white to do here. White doesn't want to sit back on the 24 point. Okay. There's no need for white to play safely at this score. Remember, gammons are really not worth much at all in this game. So you might as well split the back checkers, try to keep some flexibility, right? So white correctly does not stay back on the 24 point. But kaboom, black comes down, and it seems to punish white for his hubris. But again, white, that's okay for white. If he loses a gammon, so be it. It'll be the same as if he loses a single game. In any case, black is looking quite good here. Luckily, white is able to anchor on the 24 point, and there's really no other good 3. Okay, and it's not a question of playing safe here. It's just a question of not compromising your structure, right? So white just safeties the blot. Okay, we got tidy up on the 8 point and advance. Now here, white makes a mistake, right? And again, I suppose this is a good spot to put our fear factor in, okay? Let's just type that in here, fear factor, yeah. Okay, because the correct move is to just run out with a back checker. And it looks scary, doesn't it? You're leaving an anchor in the face of a 4 point home board, okay? Yeah, you've got a blot in the outfield. Black has a spare checker in his home board to hit loose with if needs be. So it looks pretty scary to run from this anchor. There's security in an anchor. But this is all related to the theme of playing a game of 6-4 Crawford without fear of being gammoned. Okay, if you lose 1 point, if you lose 2 points, it doesn't matter. You just don't want to lose 3 points, of course, but that's pretty unlikely. The other consideration here, one that probably had white thinking a little more, is the fact that white is behind in the race. So it seems anti-intuitive to run. But the alternatives kind of, compromise black's position, right? Sorry, white's position. White wants to still, play for the win here as much as possible. And he needs a decent structure for that. And white's chosen move here just compromises his structure, right? It's not pleasant at all. So there's no point in doing that. Much better to just take the chance and run. Maybe you won't get hit. If you're hit, so be it. What can you do? But at least you're not compromising your structure, and you're preserving some chances to make points or to hit or to prime black. Small chances, of course, but white's choice was just not smart at all, slotting on the 2 point. Okay, so keep that in mind. In this case, there's no reason to fear running and possibly being hit multiple ways. against a 4-point board because you're not afraid of gammons. Okie doke. So anyways, white plays a terrible move, and black gets double sixes and is looking even stronger. But notice that black does make a mistake here. Of course, making the bar point is important, okay? Making his bar point. But then there's no reason to be overly cautious. Putting the 20-point checker on the 8-point, is not great. You might as well get that back checker out. Maybe you think, oh, I want to collect the 2-point, the blot that white has in his home board. But again, that's more like I need a gammon and I want to hit another checker. Black is not interested particularly in winning a gammon here either. Doesn't matter. So black might as well just come out. Okay, and white's home board is such a mess that you don't have to worry too much about being hit or counter primed or anything like that. Black's structure is just too strong, really. It could happen, but it's really doubtful. And what's more likely is that white will just leave more shots. Okay, and by leaving his checker on the 24-point, there are possibilities, right? That black might not be able to get out. What if he rolls a double 5? I mean, his position is going to start to crack. You might as well start getting your checkers out, especially when there's basically no threat on white's part. Yeah. So a bit of an inaccuracy there, and better is just to come out. Okay, with the 2 checkers. Okay, again, white is playing too conservatively. Of course, he needs to make his 2-point, but then he should just slot the 5. If he gets hit, so be it. No disaster. Okay, he's got the anchor, so he's not going to be backgammoned with an anchor. Very unlikely, right? So you might as well slot the 5-point and see if you can get some kind of offense going. Some kind of board structure going, especially since, you might get a shot from the 1-point anchor, right? It does happen. Okay, black correctly jumps out. Well, not out, but comes up, shall we say. And yeah, white is, it's strange here, I guess. I just didn't realize, just how important or unimportant it is to be gammon. So you might as well just hit, right? 13-9, 6-5 is really the clear play at this score. And maybe black will come in on the 24-point, and maybe things could start to crack in his position. It's possible, right? 1-5, for example, Oh, that wouldn't work because the 5 would hit, sorry. But in any case, you've got to take your chances here. Okay, black runs with the last checker. And white comes in and finally slots the 5, too late, in a way. Okay, now this is very strange. Yeah, I guess sometimes people have a bit of blindness, right, when they're playing backgammon, perhaps even more so online. I don't know, but this is a bit puzzling. Why black thought he had to open leave a blot in this position. Sometimes it does happen, right, where we see a 6-5, and for some reason we just get into this rhythm where we play the highest number first, and then we play the lowest number, right? 6-5, play the 6, and then look for a 5, right? It's a bit of a mental lapse that does happen, even sometimes to strong players when they're unaware. So just be aware, okay, that this possibility exists where you just automatically play the big number first and look for how to play the low number. I think that's probably what happened here for black. It's quite a big mistake, isn't it? And it doesn't help black structure much either, does it? I guess he has to put something on the 2 point anyways, but okay, so and white hits, hooray, and tries to maybe turn this game around. But because perhaps white slotted his 5 point too late, he has not made his 5 point. And as a result, black is able to do the old double hit. Okay. And double hitting here, by the way, is correct because it does give him, you know, a little more in the way of backgammon chances, right? If he can put 3 checkers on the bar, then, you know, it's still a very small percentage, but it does increase the percentage of backgammons, which would win him the match, right? Which is important. And again, there's very little risk in the double hit. But just keep in mind that if there is a risk in hitting, then, you know, in terms of trying to win a gammon or something, then sometimes you do avoid it, right? Because you don't need a gammon. You just play a little more conservatively and just wrap up the win without trying to gammon your opponent. But in this case, it makes sense to try to win a few extra backgammons. Okay, white comes in with 1 checker, and black comes in with double 6s. Not exactly comfortable, is it? Having all those checkers on the 2 point. Okay, but and so if white hits on the 1 point here, there are some possibilities of things going wrong for black. But white dances. Right, so black takes a checker off, and it's interesting here. Yeah, there's no way to cover the 1, right? So you've just got to take a checker off. And black, I suppose, still has a few chances here. Notice, you know, it's almost 20% wins for white here. So it's interesting, right? All those extra checkers on the 2 point are really, if black gets hit, they're a problem. But black survives. And now basically white, you know, doesn't have a lot of chances. But in any case, he should just, you know, he doesn't need to save a gammon, so he might as well slot the 5 and 4 point and see if he can build another point or 2, just in case there's some kind of weirdness going on, right? And black is unable to clear those last 2 points in front of white's anchor. No need to run and try to, you know, this is a gammon saving play that white makes here. There's no need for that in this position. At this score, that is. Okay. Yeah, and clearly, you know, there's no problem. Black has the win here, and white is not particularly worried about not being able to save the gammon here. It's the same result. Okay. So some mistakes, I'm afraid, by both players here. And, you know, the lesson from this particular game is at this score, when you or your opponent is at Crawford and the other player has an even score, okay, so 6-4 or 6-2 or 6-0, then gammons are not really worth anything, okay? There's no real difference between winning 1 point or winning 2 points. So in the Crawford game. So you might as well play purely. Don't be afraid of taking some risks that you normally wouldn't, okay? Because if you get gammoned, you're still in basically the same situation, Okay. In this case, white doesn't have the luxury of a free pass, which really isn't a big deal. Okay, so it looks like we're going to double match point and an exciting finish to match one. Let's hope you can come back and watch game 8 of this match. Score is 6-6 to 7. Thanks.